Assalamualaikum. My name is Asma Zahidah binti Saifudin. And my partner is.
Afiq Hafiz bin Sabaruddin.
So today we are going to present on MP2 project, which highlight on the use of HTTP protocol. So what is HTTP protocol? So we are going back to basic again. What is IoT? So before I go into the details about the assignment, I will explain to you about IoT. So I obviously stand for internet and T stand for things. And in this case, we utilize three things, which three devices. First is LED. And the second one is sensor, BFE. And now we need a microprocessor to process decoding. So either LED plus ESP or BFE plus ESP. And for ESP, we use MicroPython. And for the internet part, usually it store the data in JSON, JavaScript. So notice that this Java and MicroPython involve two different language. So if it involves two different language, we need a translator between them. When it involves two different language between the internet and the things, we need a translator. So translator works between them. So what does translator do? First one, this translator change the data. This is the keyword, change the data, which from MicroPython to Java or Java to MicroPython. And the second one is transfer the data, because after we have changed, the data still not be transferred until we import the transfer function. And for this specific part, Afiq will elaborate more about that.
Okay, so for the translator, in this case, we use a module JSON. So
For one
JSON
or two?
for one.
Okay.
So module JSON, we use for change data, and it will be same for OOP, object oriented programming. So what is object oriented programming? So object oriented programming, we have two function, which is object and attribute.
It's not to function, it's how we want to write. It has to have object.
Object and attribute. So example for object, name, and attribute is Asma.
Right.
And then age and 20 is Asma. That's the OOP. So for module JSON, we have two function, which is the first one loads, and the second one is dumps. Okay, what's load do? So loads, we transform JSON language to Python, and for dumps, we change
JSON data.
JSON data, and dumps Python to JSON. Okay, the second one, transfer. So the module transfer that we use is request. Module request. So module request have two function. And number one is get, and second one is post. So post. Okay. So post we use to hantarkan, and for get we used to get the data. Okay, so that's all for me. We pass it for Asma to elaborate more.
All right. Thank you, Afiq. So, yes, what Afiq said is all true. And then, when we want to use loads, when we want to use dump, and when we want to use get and also post. So we have to understand first. Okay, for the internet, we come from the, okay, this is our laptop. Okay, for the internet, in this case, the LED, we observe the output, either it is on or it is off at the LED. So obviously the LED is the output. So you have to understand that first, who is the input and who is the output. So, and this laptop become, which the server become the input. Why? Because you control the switch. You control the switch of the LED and the GPIO management system. So obviously, the GPIO management system is the switch. It is the input. So if if this LED is the output and the server is the input, so what I will use, so the translator, okay, first we look, one is to change. So change module JSON. So if you get confused, you want to use loads or dumps, so notice that this Java, and then this is MicroPython. So you want to translate the input, the instruction from the GPIO management system, which in the JavaScript, to the MicroPython language. So that is where you need to use loads. And the second one is transfer, because you have already changed the data. Not to transfer means that data at the intersection between internet and things, but the things still not get the data from the internet. You just change, but you do not transfer. So that is when the module request, where you can apply the module request. And then this is applicable for the LED, which you will use get function. Why? Because the LED needs the data from the GPIO management system, which means the change data is applicable for input and transfer for the request for the output. So for the second one, BME give the data through to the laptop. Why I say so? Because you observe the output at the laptop. You observe the graph, right? So the graph is the output.
The graph
Where
at
you,
TeamSpeak.
yes, not TeamSpeak. Mind that. So the input is BME based on surrounding, humidity, temperature, and pressure. So it is the input. So in this case, in the second case, so when we want to transfer things data, BME sensor data to the internet, we have to go the process of translator, which the first one you have to change. So if you want to change the BME, because it's the input, so the Python, I said dumps to convert the Python to JSON. So that is where you use the second function, dump. This sensor to the this Python to JSON. And then the second one is transfer. So you use model request, which you have to post, because you send the data for the BME sensor to the server, your laptop. So I'm done with that part. So how we want to the process to work. I mean, what I want the internet to be the things to use what protocol. So in IoT, we have two protocol. So in the previous video, I've explained to you about the second protocol, which is MQTT. And this is HTTP. And then for the so in the previous video, it involved MQTT involved three parties, which we have a broker, and then this is subscriber, and this is
Publisher and
publish.
subscriber.
Publisher come first or subscriber come first?
Publisher come first.
Okay, so I'm sorry, publisher, and then is subscriber. And then for the HTTP, it involves only two parties, which is the first one is, I'm sorry, the first one is client, server, and then client.
And client.
So in this case, server is the internet. Internet become the server, which you can set up to your laptop, become the server, and client is things. So if you ask me, the client is the input or output. So you see that LED become the output and BME become the input. So the arrow can be like this, either server to client or client to server. So it doesn't matter. So I only explain to you about the translator, and Afiq explain about the library JSON and also library request. And then about the internet part, we will broke down into two categories, which is internet server. We have two, on-premise and on cloud. So on premise, we have tools. We have how to set up on premise internet server. You either you use the tools or you use the
live IP.
or the other name is public IP. Either one. So for the tools, we have ngrok, and the second one, in Malaysia, we have Unify that offer that, and also in the US, we have BMOS. So of course, ngrok is free of charge, no fees. So we will use ngrok instead, or the other one is local tunnel. So this project we will use this. And on cloud, the three mazhab yang sangat famous, which is the first one is AWS, which is, and then
Azure,
Microsoft,
Google,
and then GCP, which is Google Platform.
And 000 web host.
Yes. And 00 web host, again, it's free of charge. So in this project, we will use 00 web host because it's just for learning purpose. You will not want to waste your money, right? So yeah. So the pros of on-premise is that it's cheaper than the on-cloud. And the cons is we need aircon because we need the data to be transferred all the time. So that's con because it involves electricity bills. And for the on cloud, the pros is
company.
that yes, it's used by this company. It has bodyguard, which is firewall
security.
Yes. And then the cons is the price is, yes, is T20 price. That's why it's the on cloud usually used for big companies, and on premise usually used for office, home. It's like small like that.
Laptop.
Okay, now I think I've covered all the theory, so I will get back and relate that back when I write coding later. So let's get on to task one.
Before that, I will explain to you guys about what is I2C cable.
Mm.
Okay, so I2C means I square of C, which is means inter-integrated circuit. So, and it is a synchronous multi-master, multi-sleeve, and communication protocol. Okay. So we use this protocol many times with the ESP32 to communicate with external device like sensor and display. Okay. In this case, the ESP32 is the master chip and the external device are the slaves. So I2C communication protocol use two wires to share information. So one is used for the clock signal, which is SCL, and the other one is used to send and receive the data, which is SDA. So in many breakout boards, the SDA line may also be labeled as SDI, and the SCL line also labeled as SCK. Okay. So the SDA and SCL lines are active low. So they should be pulled up with resistor. Typically values of resistor is 4.7 k ohm for 5 volt device and 2 for 2.4 k ohm 3.3 device. But most sensor that we use in our project are breakout board. So the board that already have the resistor built in. So usually when you are dealing with this type of electronic component, you don't need to worry about this. So that's all. I will pass to Asma to continue the task one.
I think to summarize what Afiq trying to say is that I2C basically involve SDA and SCL. So SDA is for data, SCL is for clock.
For clock.
Data is to transfer the data, and SCL for two devices communicate with each other. So how fast it transfer the data to the internet. Things transfer the data to the internet. That is what Afiq trying to say. So proceed. I will proceed with task one. So the question asks us to install the web server, and the sample output shows that XAMPP, because XAMPP to turn our laptop into the server. So you have two options here. Either you go to Google and then you type XAMPP, and then you just click that, and then for Windows, you click for Windows, and if you use MacBook, click for OS. Or the other way is, because Sir already provided that in the yosof.net. So you go to yosof.net and then go to tools, and then you go to so it's the same thing because I've already installed it. So can just open the file location and go to C file and then XAMPP, and then it's in this C file. The first thing, after I've done it, I've installed, click on XAMPP control and start the Apache to turn my laptop into a server. And it written here that 80 port number for HTTP and 443 port number for HTTPS. So start for my SQL too. So SQL is used to turn for database, to set up database. So now I have to test if my laptop already become a server. So command prompt, and then I just type on ipconfig, and then this I get an address. So I just copy this and go to Google again. and see. I get the same output, Sam, something like that. Or I can just type localhost. I'm sorry, localhost, and I get this the same thing, either localhost or using the number, the address provided, still get the same thing. So notice here that in the XAMPP, it says that Apache, I'm sorry, it says the Apache for webs to set up my laptop to become a web application server. And Maria is the name of the database, and we are using PHP language to turn in this server. The reason why we do not use Python, we do not implement Python into the server because it's much more complicated. So I've verified that and then just pangkah that. And then let's look the next requirement for task 1. So it says here to download all files using curl command. So and then what I have to do, just go to C file and then XAMPP and go to htdocs and then I create a new folder named GPIO. And then type cmd code weh sabar sekejap weh. Sekejap. Ulang balik sebab aku lupa nak clearkan certain benda. Ya, aku malas nak edit. Oh diam sebab aku lagi malas nak edit daripada ni. htdocs. Sekejap. Apa tadi? Patutnya localhost php myadmin. Apa loading pula ni? Okay, GPIO. Drop GPIO, okay. Dan lepas tu exam pangkal jap. Lepas tu apa lagi yang kena tu? Rasa itu je kot. Zam.
Apa tu?
Sekejap, aku rasa aku nak cakap cepat sikit. Okay, lagi sekali. Biar aku yang start daripada. Ya, sebelum tu. Bagi aku nak minum air dulu.
Minum. Ambil kau punya oksigen.
Tengok kau weh. So now we will proceed into task 1. So task 1 first asks education asks to install the web server and database of your choice. So in this case, the web server is XAMPP. So you can just simply type XAMPP here, or you can just go to yosof.net because Sir already provided for us. You still get the same. See that? So you can just do the one for Windows, install for Windows, and for MacBook, install for OS. So notice, already done. I've already installed it. So you can just check it at the PC and then the C file, then XAMPP. And then the first thing you need to do is go to XAMPP control and start the Apache to set up our laptop to become a web application server. And then notice here that it written there 80 port number for HTTP and 443 for HTTPS. So MySQL to set up a database. So already done that, and then just pangkah that, and then now I have to check if my laptop already become a server. Just simply type command prompt and then type config, IP config, and then you get new address here. So to verify that, I go to Google and then just paste that, or either way I can write localhost. So still both are acceptable. So notice here that XAMPP Apache. As I said, Apache to set up our laptop to become a server, and Maria is the name of the database, and PHP is the language that we are using in the database. The reason why we use PHP instead of Python, because Python, if you want to implement that into a database to convert and all that stuff, it's much more complicated. And the server function is to store the data, and the database is to react data. So I hope that you can distinguish between server and database and why we need those two things. So then that part, and then go to this again. And then it says here to create all this. So go to XAMPP again in the C file, and go to htdocs, and then I need to create a new folder named GPIO. And then I double click this CMD. So this is the fastest way to open the VS Code. So after that, then I need to copy paste one by one. So curl is the command to extract all the coding inside it instead of you copy paste, because this is programmer style. So what I need to do is open the new terminal and copy paste one by one. Now I have all 5 files. So go to this again, and then it says that I have to in the HTML form of SQL command, I need to update that. So go to this again, and then just change the dashboard to PHP So I need to create new database. So I name it as GPIO, and I create. Once it has been created, so you can see on the left panel, and you click on the GPIO, the database, and then go to SQL. Just go to this and copy all this. The reason why I need to copy this PHP is my server, right? So I need to copy back because like I said, database is to react to the data, like 1 plus 1 equal. So the answer 2 is the database that works on that function. Something like that. So just press go. And after that, I've done that part too. And then in the database.php file, I need to remove the password and also make sure the DB name same as the file that I saved. So go to this. So I already saved the same file, and don't forget to save it. Okay, done. So I need to confirm it to HTTP, and then I just type localhost/gpio. Oh, wait. See, I get as the one two. I just need to create for ESP32. We use 3 LED. So LED 2. So if it does not appear, just refresh that. And then I've done that part too. And then it says that I have to set up public IP. So so this just a server for myself, not kernel. So I can use and drop, or so I use and drop instead. So I can just download it, or so I can if you're a user, you can sign up. I've already an account and I've logged in. And when you log in, you can download for Windows. Okay. And then when you have done downloading that part, you can check at download. So in my case, I can just write it and grow. So this is ngrok file. So just and then it's in the application download ngrok. So if you've done download it, actually if you download it come in zip file, and then you have to extract all. Just double click on that, and then type cmd. And then just simply type ngrok http 80. And then you get a new address here. So copy that. And then to this. You see that it means that I've already created a tunnel to make this server accessible to the other user of the same network as I am. So if I share this to Afiq, Afiq might not get access of it because Hafiz and I use different internet. So, and then just type again here, like I said, GPIO PHP. So notice that, okay, the difference between local host and ngrok is that local host is just for myself, just for my own. And as I explained before, ngrok is for other users of the same network as I am using. I said that I use Wi-Fi BMI and Afi use Wi-Fi BMI also. And I can share him the link, and he can, let's say I'm in level 1 and he in level 6. So he can just control the LED at level 6 because we are still using the same Wi-Fi, right? So I've already done that part. So that's it for task 1. Okay, now we will move to task 2. Let's see the questions. Okay, it asks us to write a Python program. So have to take note here. But before that, I have to create a file. I'll create a file just outside of this as mp2. And then in this file, just like usual, type cmd. And then, so then after this, so because it does Python, so first step is I need to enable the FileMaker. Disable the FileMaker. Enable the Python. So now I've set it, I am ready to write coding in Python. So let's see requirement Python for every 1 second. So obviously my first step is import the library. So create a file. Actually in Python it doesn't matter what the name of your file. Unlike in MicroPython. So because it mentioned sleep, so I will import module type, library type. And then sleep for 1 second. So do that first in case we forgot about that. And then integrate that changes of GPIO status. So for GPIO data, So the LED needs to blink, right? So I write data. Right. Y1.
So data GPIO means the condition of the LED. If the condition of the LED give 1 means on, LED is on, then print GPIO is on the terminal. The reason why the LED gives the data either 1 or 0 because the microprocessor, which the ESP, works in binary, which either 1 or 0. That you can study more in digital electronics.
Is off. Okay, so notice here that we have bracket. So this bracket is very important because we want to the data to transfer in text. So make sure since I missed this part, and this column, I don't know, titik bertindih ni very important too. And then so it has error here because I didn't declare the data yet. So I've done that part, and then what I need to do now is okay, like I said, LED, when LED things is the output. So means I have to set the coding in the server, which the GPIO management system. So what I need to do is to go through the process of translator, which its work. First one is to change. So change using the JSON module. JSON module. Because of why? Because from laptop, your laptop, from JSON data. So JSON text has to be converted to Python because it wants to send, because the GPIO management system is the switch, is the input. So it means it has to send the data to the things. So that's why the JSON acts as input. So it means JSON needs to convert to Python. So like that, from JSON import. So for the import part, loads, I say. So using loads function. So and then that part. And then now I have to transfer the data. Just now I just changed data. Now the second part, I have to transfer the data using the module request. And this time the module request involve the output. So LED needs to extract the data from the GPIO management system to the LED. So I use module request instead. It gets data from GPIO to determine the blinking of the LED. Request import. So after that, now I have to insert the URL, but let's leave it blank for now. And then I have to create while true because I need the data to be transferred continuously. So while true is so after while true, I have to tap all this. And then it's very important. Once again, I need to repeat myself for that. And then receive. So receiver equal get URL. So I can write like this, or I can just like import request. But the reason why I did not use this because our ESP32 has limited space. So if I choose line 5, then in here I have to write request dot. So dot because dots is how I want to, in the module request, I want to use the function. So I use dot. Means this is the name of the module and this is the function. That is how. But if I declare the specific function that I want to use, like in line 4, then I don't need to dot this anymore. So get URL. And then what I need to do that next is data needs to be converted, right? So let loads. And then receiver tags. Why tags? Because JSON store in property tags. And then I've done that. And I think I've save first. Let me check. Oh, URL. Okay, where do I want to get this URL? So, and then it says here to task 1. So task 1 involve localhost and also the end drop. So use both of it, which I Oh yeah, one thing that I forgot is you have to close the response because it's while true. So the RAM of the ASP will become full if you let it open without closing it. Okay, I'm sorry. This need to be because only the condition of the LED is in the for loop. So to correct my mistake just now, make sure this is action ASP and I just mistakenly so at this is action ASP. So take this. I think yes, take that one. You have to copy this and then the API like that, and then GPIO localhost and then something like that. So just to recap, so I do not need any machine module because it just will store the ESP with unnecessary library because machine is to employ for task related. This is just to display on the VS Code. So and then if I on, this is on, you can see that it's synchronous. So for task 3, we need to use MicroPython and the LED blink for every 1 second. So in this case, since it's MicroPython, so and I've already enabled the PyMaker and disabled the Python, and main.py has to be in the MicroPython program, and then for the program, just like before, from import sleep so that the LED do not burn. So from JSON, import loads because we want to convert from the JSON data from the server to the things, the Python from request import. Yeah. So I use the same concept as before. Output is the LED. GPI management system is the input. So loads and then get. And then edit URL. Just leave it blank for now. I'm sorry. And then you have to this means that the condition of the LED. So if data equal to 1, range F then because it want to sleep for 1 second, and then I just want to organize this code. And then the other thing that I need is this is the extension from task 2, which we need machine library because we want to the ASP to connect with the laptop. So then we have to convert the data. Wait, let me do this first. You need to convert into the integer because GPIO basically in data string in here, so that so this is I configure the LED as output is how, and then yeah, and then since I no, the LED on is function. How did I know? Because bracket here means that this is function. Then now we have to convert the data in the URL. Sorry, we want to get the LED to get the data from the server. So we use that get. I can just simply write, yes, I can write like this, import request, but and then this from request, but that will eat space. So I input specific function, sleep, loads, and get function. Pin is class. How do I know? Because pin is in capital letter. So after I extract the data from the server to the LED from using get function, and then I need to translate the data so that the LED can understand. So I write here receiver text because basically JSON data store is in text form. So and then I need to use curl function called boot from the yosof.net for internet configuration. There you go. And then I need to using my hotspot and make sure it's in 2.4G because otherwise it's already because ESP32 only accept 2.4G. I've saved this, and then I need to connect this. Let's try it again. I think I'm correct, right, Afiq? Let's check this.
Yes.
Action. ASP. That's because of the internet. So let's upload this again. I'm sorry. Okay, this is biggest mistake ever, which is I supposed to be in MicroPython, right?
Micro request problem, I believe it comes from the Wi-Fi, so that's why the data cannot use the request module, and
Okay,
because
just
I have
paste
only
this
one
again.
hotspot, so I didn't have the chance to
Then
carry out these tasks effectively.